Experts believe that Russia has been losing its position as a leader in Central Asia since 2020. At that time, Azerbaijan regained some of its territories, while Armenia waited in vain for the help of its Collective Security Treaty Organization ally, Russia. Although the ceasefire agreement was signed by the president of Azerbaijan, the prime minister of Armenia, and the president of Russia, Moscow's only responsibility was monitoring the situation.
Some countries are or were dependent on Russia in terms of security, like Armenia, for example. Now, after all these changes in the conflicts between Azerbaijan and Armenia, Armenia is trying to get rid of this direct security dependence on Russia. It has become clear that the CSTO is a fraud, and it is obvious that Russia, which was one of the main founders of the CSTO, is losing its power. So there is no point in talking about Russia as a state that has any influence. That's exactly why not only Europeans but also Americans began to establish strong contacts with these countries in order to build some alternative. But it's often not about Russia anymore, it's more about China.
China is systematically working to strengthen its influence in the region. For example, Beijing has signed a visa-free agreement with Astana. The countries are developing logistical ties and increasing trade volumes. Russia's full-scale war against Ukraine has further changed the vector of region's politics. It is dangerous to be dependent on a weakened but aggressive federation. Therefore, Central Asian states are seeking to distance themselves from a toxic neighbor.
The context is changing. Russia, which has bogged down in the war against Ukraine, is really losing influence and power in the region. And the European Union realizes that it needs to use this moment. That's why the activation is happening. We should also analyze that in these countries leaders directly give their assessment of the situation. In Kazakhstan, for example, they are also trying to use these opportunities, directly showing interest in the European Union and Western countries.
The meeting of the EU foreign ministers with their Central Asian colleagues on the eve of the first formal EU-Central Asia summit is the evidence of a deepening cooperation. In addition, bilateral ties are also being strengthened. The recent visit of French President Emmanuel Macron to Kazakhstan was the result of it.
In the first 8 months of this year, the volume of trade between our countries grew by 21% compared to previous year and reached $2.7 billion. France is also among our main foreign investors. Over the past 15 years, about $18.7 billion of investment has been attracted from France to Kazakhstan. Today we are implementing important projects in the energy, nuclear, mining, chemical, machine building, construction, aerospace, and pharmaceutical industries. More than 170 French companies in the country are the evidence of it. Kassym-Jomart Tokayev, president of Kazakhstan, from the statement following the meeting with the president of France, Emmanuel Macron.
All parties are interested in cooperation, experts believe. Central Asian countries receive investments and opportunities from Europe and the United States to develop their economies. But the leaders of the civilized West, among other things, are interested in guarantees that Russia's neighbors will not help Kremlin circumvent sanctions.
It is hardly possible to talk about any definite return of these countries under Moscow's influence, because Russia has already shown its incompetence, its inability to be a leader in this region. Obviously, China will pick up this initiative. It is trying to seize leadership in these regions, in these countries, as closely as possible and to give a signal that Beijing can be orientated and that this is a long-term prospect.
The Russian Foreign Ministry complains that the West is stealing Federation's friends and allies. However, the Kremlin has not yet received any response to its accusations. Reported by Anastasia Tarnavska, Larisa Zubenko, UATV News.